Hi everyone and welcome back to the S&P Saga, your weekly recap of the S&P 500 index. We'll reveal the winners and losers that drove 90% of the index performance and which companies will announce earnings next week. The main driver this week was the introduction of the DeepSeek AI model that wrecked many AI darlings, ironically right after the Stargate announcement that we covered last week. As usual, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to understand how individual stocks impact the S&P 500. Let's jump right into this week's review. The S&P 500 closed the week at 6,040.53 cents, down 1% from last week and losing 502 billion of market cap. The PE ratio, based on current price and latest earnings, stands at 30.18, down 0.32 points since last week. Let's go to your gainers. Apple, last week's loser, is up 198.8 billion or 5.9% after reporting better than expected earnings, driven by a 14% growth in its services sector, despite a slight decline in iPhone sales, particularly in China, and also announced plans to expand its AI features, known as Apple Intelligence, to additional languages by April. Meta, up 111.6 billion or 6.8%, reported fourth quarter earnings that exceeded expectations, driven by a 21% increase in revenue to 48.4 billion, primarily from enhanced AI-driven advertising. Alphabet, or Google, up 45.3 billion or 1.8% on no specific news. Note that the company is expanding its Waymo robotaxi service to 10 additional cities in 2025. Amazon, up 29.8 billion or 1.2% on no specific news. IBM is up 28.6 billion or 13.8% after the company reported fourth quarter earnings that surpassed expectations, driven by a 10% increase in its software segment and significant growth in its generative AI business. Walmart, up 26.2 billion or 3.4% on no specific news. AbbVie, up 24.2 billion or 8%, reporting fourth quarter earnings that exceeded expectations, driven by strong sales in its immunology drugs Skyrizi and Rinvoq. Lilly, up 24.2 billion or 3.2% on no specific news. Visa is up 22 billion or 3.4% as the company surpassed expectations for its Q4 results. Note that the company just announced a partnership with X to create a new digital payments tool. MasterCard up 18 billion or 3.7%, just like Visa after reporting better than expected Q4 results. Let's move on to your losers. NVDA, last week's winner, is down a record 552.2 billion or 15.8% following the emergence of Chinese startup DeepSeek's cost-effective AI model, which raised concerns about potential competition in the AI hardware market. Microsoft, down 216 billion or 6.5% after the company reported slower than expected growth in its Azure cloud services and increased competition from emerging AI technologies like DeepSeek. Broadcom, down 109.8 billion or 9.6%, also following the emergence of DeepSeek's model, which raised concern about increased competition in the market. Oracle, down 38.1 billion or 7.4% on no specific news, likely also impacted by the emergence of DeepSeek's AI model. ServiceNow, down 22 billion or 9.5% after providing a disappointing guidance for 2025 subscription revenue growth that fell short of investor expectations. Arista Networks, down 17.6 billion or 10.8% on no specific news, as the company was also hit by the DeepSeek model. Caterpillar, down 17.4 billion or 8.9%, as the company experienced a 5% decline in revenue, marking the fifth consecutive quarter of revenue shortfalls, and projected a slight decrease in 2025 compared to 2024. Danaher is down 17.4 billion or 9.8% as the company reported lower than expected earnings for its Q4 results. Eaton is down 16.8 billion or 11.5% and was also a DeepSeek victim as investors reasoned that such model could reduce electrical infrastructure spending by major tech companies. And finally, UPS, down 16 billion or 14.1% as the company announced plans to reduce its business with Amazon by over 50% over the next 18 months to focus on more profitable segments, suggesting a revenue drop in 2025. This week, there were no changes announced to the the S&P 500. Q4 2024 earnings are still ongoing, with 98 members releasing earnings last week and 350 companies left to report. 130 S&P 500 members will release earnings during the week ending February 7th, 2025, and the most interesting will be Palantir on February 3rd, Alphabet or Google, Pepsi, Merck, Amgen, Pfizer, AMD, and KKR on February 4th, Disney, Uber, Boston Scientific, and Fiserv on February 5th. Finally, Amazon, Linde, Lilly, ConocoPhillips, Philip Morris, Honeywell, and Bristol Myers Squibb on February 6th. Which company do you think will top the list next week and why? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe to our weekly updates. To find out why NVIDIA and Microsoft were up last week, you should watch this video next.